Hey everyone, hope you're having a great day. In this video, I want to talk about the Federal Reserve meeting, which is right around the corner on September 20th. Now, this meeting is important for a couple of reasons. The main one is that it will show us direction that the Fed will most likely take on the following two meetings, because the Fed will meet again on November 1st and then again on December 13th. Now, what I want to do in this video is give you a detailed breakdown of what to expect on the September 20th meeting, as well as an update on what to expect on the following two meetings. So let's get right into it. As always, my name is Derek, and I got my degree in finance, so you don't have to. Let's talk about it. So the Fed meets in a couple of days, and the Fed is most likely going to give us projections and direction in this meeting. The market consensus is 99% that the Fed will not raise interest rates on September 20th. Now, can the market be wrong? Absolutely. But I have to agree with the market. I do not believe that the Fed will raise interest rates this meeting. But what it will do is it will give us their projections based on the economic data that has come out so far. So in order to better understand what they're going to talk about, as well as a direction that they might take, you need to be updated on a couple of things. So the August inflation report was just released, and I did make a video on that, but I'll give you a quick brief summary. The two main numbers that we want to know about and talk about are core inflation, as well as headline or CPI inflation. Now, headline or CPI inflation did go up. It went up about 0.5%. Now, on paper, that looks bad, but we also have to understand that core inflation did go down from 4.7% to 4.3%. Now, what are these two numbers? Core inflation removes what is known as volatile assets, basically food and energy prices. All right, so those numbers that move volatilely every single month, they remove that. Headline or CPI inflation does not. Now, in my opinion, for you, the consumer, and for me, the consumer, CPI inflation is more relative to what we feel on an everyday basis. Now, the Fed cares more so about core inflation because they want to remove the volatile assets so they can make a better data-driven decision. So there are positive and negative signs, but it does seem like inflation is headed in the right direction, but it also does not seem like inflation is where the Fed wants it, which is a target rate of around 2%. Okay, now that you understand that, let's move back to September 20th. So most likely what is going to happen on September 20th is no interest rate change. We will not see a reduction in interest rates. We will also not see an addition to interest rates. Remember, right now interest rates are hovering. The Fed rate is 5.5%, which is relatively high. It's the highest it's been in over 20 years. So they are aggressively keeping interest rates high to fight inflation. Now, with that said, remember, the Fed is an organization that is comprised of many people. We always talk about the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, but it is a group of people that make decisions collectively. Now, when you look at the Fed does seem to be split on whether current interest rates are high enough to keep inflation at bay. There are some Fed members that want inflation higher. There are some Fed members that believe that inflation should be closer to 6%, so a full 0.5% higher than it is right now. There are some members that believe that we need a 0.25% increase, and there are some members that believe right now if we hold interest rates at 5.5% for long enough, it will be enough to fight off inflation. Now you have to understand the Fed's job to understand the way that they think and to understand what they're most likely going to do. The Fed cares primarily about inflation control as well as economic growth. But when inflation is high, the Fed almost always cares more about fighting inflation than it does about damaging the economy. When you look through history, that is the stance that it usually takes. So, if you look at the economy as a scale, and on one side you have inflation, and on the other side you have potential recession, the Fed will most likely risk potential recession in order to for sure or get as certain as possible that inflation will come down. So between the two, it will always usually fight inflation with recession being a potential collateral damage. It usually will not do the opposite. So because of that, we can kind of foresee what the Fed will do. Inflation seems to be coming down. But inflation is not at the target rate, and there are some signs of sticky inflation. Now, Luckily, there are not major signs, but there are signs of sticky inflation, especially when you look at CPI inflation, which did go up 0.5% for the August report. So taking in all of that data, the Fed will make a decision moving forward. The other thing that we have to understand is at the time of this recording, the data has not come out yet, but Monday and Tuesday before the meeting, housing data will come out. Housing building data will come out tomorrow. And the Fed will use that to make its decision as well, because housing prices are a very large part of inflation, and they're one of the core drivers of inflation, especially for the inflation that we feel. So now let's talk about the most likely scenario. So we have the September 20th meeting, then we have the November 1st meeting, and then we have the December 13th meeting, all right, until the end of the year. This meeting, they are most likely going to signal the direction, and they're going to analyze data, and they're going to provide you with that summary. They're also going to release their own economic and inflation projections, which we need to listen to so we have a better understanding of how they will move into the future. Now, my belief is that at either the November 1st or the December 13th meeting, and I could be wrong, absolutely, but I do believe that they will increase interest rates. Now, I do not know if they will increase it 0.25% or 0.5%, or if they will do 2 increases or 1. I do not know, but I do believe that the general consensus, both in the market as well as the Federal Reserve, is that there might need to be just a little bit more interest rate. I hope I haven't said inflation. If I did, I apologize. I mean interest rate. I do believe that the Federal Reserve, there is a consensus that there is going to need to be at least a little bit more interest rate increase to get inflation under control. Now, not every member agrees with that, but I think that moving forward, that is most likely going to be the outcome. So we have to look at the September 20th meeting, which is just around the corner, because it gives us basically an insight as close to a magic ball as we have to what the Fed will do in the next 2 meetings. So again, to summarize this, I do not believe that there will be a rate increase on September 20th, and neither does the market. Now, the market can be wrong, but right now the market's consensus is very strong that there will not be an interest rate increase. All right. 2, we will see the direction that the Fed wants to take, and we will have to look for what's known as hawkish or dovish comments, both from the federal chairman as well as members of the board. We have to see what they are saying in regards to hawkish or dovish sentiment. So hawkish sentiment is obviously we need higher interest rates. Dovish sentiment is we need softer or lower interest rates, or we've done enough already. All right. So as they start to say these comments, we can try to read into what they're saying to get a better idea of what's going on moving forward. In my opinion, to summarize all this, interest rates are going to have to remain high for the foreseeable future, 6 months potentially, before we start seeing cuts to interest rates. That is because inflation does remain elevated and remains higher than the Fed wants it to be. Now, I think for the general population, whether it's 5.5% or 6%, high interest rates are hurting everybody, and it is causing a slowdown in economic growth, and you can see that in the most recent job report. All right, job report usually highlights the direction of the economy, because if the economy is growing, jobs are growing. If the economy is shrinking, jobs are shrinking. So we're already seeing signs that high interest rates are causing slight damage to the economy. But the Fed, being the Fed, is going to focus on the fight for inflation first. They want to make sure inflation is behind us before they worry or focus on the regular economy and spurring economic growth. So I hope this video was helpful, and I hope this gave you insight as to what is going to happen on September 20th and future meetings, which September 20th, in my opinion, is the most important meeting because it highlights and it gives us direction for the following 2 meetings. But the actual changes to the inflation rate will most likely come at one of the following meetings. So again, I hope this video was informative. I hope this video was helpful. As always, my name is Derek, and I got my degree in finance, so you don't have to. If you like personal finance, if you like economics broken down and just have a discussion about these things, then you are in the right place, because that is all we do. I love this stuff. It's been my passion for over a decade, and I love being able to share this with you guys, and I hope that through this YouTube channel, you're able to gain almost like a mini finance degree, because I truly believe that personal finance is the cornerstone to your better future. So again, I love you guys. We'll have to see what happens on September 20th. It's right around the corner. But until then, I will see you in the next video, which will most likely be an update to what happened. Take care.